Hey, it's Andreas. Let's cover Betsson in today's video, and shout out to Erik here for suggesting this company in a comment on a previous video. Now, Betsson is a holding company registered in Sweden, and they manage 20 brands. They have a sportbook, they have casino, and they also have poker. However, poker is only 1% of total revenue, so this is basically negligible. And if we take a look at share price here to the right, we can see that over a 5-year time span, they're down by almost 35%. And, in terms of valuation, total market cap, I like to look at that more than I like to look at share price. We can see that market cap is about 6.5 billion Swedish kroner. And that means that in dollar valuations, since a lot of you guys are from America, this is not even a $1 billion company. And this puts Betsson at the mid-cap list in Sweden. So stick along and hopefully you will be a bit smarter with money, how to analyze companies, because I will take a look at the operating statement, talk about the gambling industry some there as well, and then we will take a look at the balance sheet to get a feel for how the company operates, how they view OPEX versus CAPEX, some thoughts on what the WACC might be, because we get a lot of clues here if we take a look at the balance sheet and then draw a connection to company behavior. And in the end, I have a curiosity about short interest. We will see an old favorite for a lot of investors and some thoughts on management as well. So stick around for those juicy parts. All right, so regarding revenues and margins, growth profits, let's start with revenue, because revenue is quite unpredictable here in Betsson's case. However, the trend line is slightly positive in its slope if we just draw a line from 2017 to last year basically. And we can also see that there was a little bump in revenue for the year of 2018. And if we dig a bit deeper into this and look at sporting events that was in 2018, this falls, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree basically. There was a World Cup in Russia back then, and these types of major events tend to be very good for gambling companies, as a lot of people, myself included, likes to bet on the World Cup. And to make short-term predictions, we also see that this year there's the World Cup in Qatar, and this, I believe, will have a positive impact on revenue growth, because revenue growth is something that this company has struggled with in just the recent quarter. We can see here in key data now, this revenue is in millions of Swedish kroner. So revenue for the last quarter here was basically 1.6 billion Swedish kroner, and this represents quarter over quarter minus 10%, and this is not something that the market likes, along with a lot of fear about macro things, and then a business earnings report like this, well, the stock price tends to slide a bit then. And if we take a look at margins here for EBITDA, it's more interesting to look for the full year here. We can see that it tends to be quite stable at 23% here. And even though sportbook margin was absolutely terrible for the quarter in the month of October, basically, if I remember correctly from their earnings report, it was absolutely abysmal. And if you want to understand this type of business better, then I can just give you this rule of thumb regarding margins for gambling companies. If there comes a lot of results that are unexpected, big surprises, bangers, or however you say in English, then this tends to be very good for margin for these companies. Don't ask me in the comments. I'm not going to go over the mathematics of sportsbook here. This is about finance and investing, and for you guys to get better with money and analyzing companies for yourself. But just remember, if there's a lot of unexpected results, then this will be good for margin. So perhaps you want to watch some football this year on the World Cup, just to follow along and see if we get a lot of unexpected results, and then you can connect the dots and see that, all right, what did we remember? This is good for margins for betting companies. Maybe I should take a closer look at a few of them myself and do a due diligence, and maybe invest some of my paycheck if you like what you see. All right, so that's been it with regard to revenue and talking about short-term predictions. So I think that we will see a bit more than 4% here in total increase from the 2021 number to whatever number will be for this year. I think it will go up more than 4% in terms of total revenue growth. Remember, World Cup, a lot happening. The world is opening up a lot more. You can't really blame COVID on cancelled sporting events, stuff like that. Let's move over to the balance sheet. Just so we don't make this video half an hour long, but in terms of capital allocation, I like to take a look at debt to see that, all right, how much is equity to debt ratio? Do they have some bank loans and stuff like that? Because this is a great way to finance expansion. And we can see that in the case for Betsson, when we're talking about expansion, they tend to expand via acquisition, buying up brands in other markets to make the entry that way. And I took a look at the credit facility that Betsson has at hand, and they have quite a nice chunk of change that they can get from the banks should they choose to. However, they haven't really utilized a large part of this potential for debt. But take a look at liabilities here. They use lease liabilities, so they're leasing something, and we can see it here as well. Total non-current, so both longer and short-term liabilities, and this is a sign that they prioritize operational expenditures, or OPEX. And CAPEX is the capital expenditure. And why is this important from a financial standpoint? Well, this is about what the company is able to do with their total amount of capital. If you can put in $10 in a business and that business will generate $1 for you, that's a lot better than if you have to put in $100 to generate that $1. One is better than the other, and this is why we as investors take a look at how many times in a given year does the company turn over their total balance sheet. So we divide revenue with the total amounts of assets and liabilities that the company has, and then we multiply that with the margins that they have, and then we get the great profitability metrics that we can compare this company to other companies in the same industry and get a measure for how efficient they are with capital in competition with their peers. Basically, this is quite the annoying calculation to do, but if you have a weekend, you can look at these things and do this in your own due diligence. So just a little quick tip for you there. But just the feel that I get from looking at this balance sheet is that they prioritize OPEX to a certain extent, and this should mean that WACC, now this stands for weighted, the average cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital. And this gives me the idea that cost of capital is quite low for this company. And if we once again connect the numbers to reality and the decisions that we see that this business make, then we see that indeed they're growing with acquisition, they're buying companies. And this tells me that indeed there are projects that this company can undertake that expected profits are a lot greater than the whatever the cost of capital is that this company has. This is great. If this wasn't the case, they wouldn't buy other brands, they would just give out everything in dividends. Basically, here you go, guys, we can't make use of this money in an efficient way. You guys just take it as a dividend. Basically, here you go, invest it on your own, try to get good returns. So those are my thoughts on capital allocation here. And just some curious developments here to finish off this video. I will do just a quick summary in the end as well, but there used to be short interest in this company when there was a lot of uncertainty about management. There was a suggestion from the board to remove Pontus as the CEO of this company, and we could see that a investor favorite, Citadel, the European division, they became famous after this GameStop scandal, basically, with the failed to execute trade thing. They had a short position in Betsson. However, right now, as you can see, not a lot of short positions anymore. I think that the worst in terms of the share price development is behind these companies, and I think this because I get some clues from insider trading in this company where a lot of management is buying up shares. Now, this right part here about the current CEO is in Swedish, but in terms of how many shares Pontus here owns in the company, we can see that it's about 400,000 A stocks. Now, A stocks in Swedish, just to maybe give a little skill pill here to foreign investors, this only means that there's a lot of voting rights for these type of shares. And B stocks, in terms of the capital that one single B stock represents, is exactly the same as that of an A stock. However, B stocks is only a sliver of the voting right of an A stock. This is how things are done in Sweden, and we will see this with voting rights. It's done in a lot of different ways in different countries, but now you know how it is in Sweden. If you ever get the question on it or analyze a company, a Swedish company, then you will know. All right, so insider buying in the company, always a good sign. It tells me that management believes that the current valuation is low and that it will go higher in the future. And just in my opinion, from looking over this company, I believe that indeed in the short term, there's potential for this company to be traded higher. Valuation is very low, 6 something in price to earnings, if we look at that valuation multiple. However, don't expect price to earnings to be that of the average company in the Swedish market. Remember, Betsson is part of what's called sin stocks. So you have the oil, you have the gambling, you have the weapons. They tend to have a bit lower valuation than other companies due to institutions not being very keen on trading in these types of companies. They've fallen a little bit out of favor. However, no, short term this year, a World Cup coming out, I could totally see this company trading higher. And then in the long term, it's very hard to make predictions in this type of industry due to the uncertainty of the political aspects, what regulations will be introduced, how will these regulations affect revenues and margins and all these kinds of things. However, one thing that I will say is that, many years ago when I was a business student, I took the management course, and as a part of it, we visited the Betsson offices just to take a look at how they were running the organization. And it was, very lean. And in terms of talking to Pontus and being guided around the office, I think that he made a very good first impression. He was very good at communicating, talking about the visions that he had for Betsson. One of them was, entering China, huge potential for revenue, and gambling in Asian cultures is very large. They have their lucky numbers. It's crazy. The listing numbers of companies when they list on stock exchanges, if they get a lucky number, then they tend to trade better than companies who don't have lucky numbers. So gambling is a big part of the culture over there. Just take a look at Macau, for example. And it's not certain that this type of opportunity will appear in Pontus' lifetime or even in my lifetime. It's very hard to predict how the political situations with regulations over there will develop. However, if we take a look at history, we can see that, back in the days, Pontus was running a business with slot machines, with the cherry companies that had blackjack tables in Swedish pubs and clubs. And then when Malta joined the EU, an opportunity arose. An opportunity to do online gambling, to break basically the Swedish government monopoly that was on gambling for a long time. I don't remember this story very well, but Pontus told it, vividly. It was many years ago. But the thing is here that he was able to capitalize on this opportunity. So he has seen opportunities arise in the past and pounced on them. I think that this can be a good predecessor for the future to, make the connection that should a great opportunity arise again, then Betsson with Pontus at the steering wheel would not miss such an opportunity. And since entering Sweden, we've also seen them do market entries in other geographical locations via acquisitions for the most part. So this is an ongoing strategy with entering new markets that I think will know, continue to generate revenue growth for Betsson. That's been it, Those were just my thoughts, my opinions on Betsson. It was very fun to do a quick analysis on this company, and I'm not gonna buy any shares right now, as I'm looking to load up some more on StoneCo right now. However, once I'm finished with loading up shares there, just need a little bit more there and a little bit more in Palantir, then who knows? In any case, I hope you make a ton of money, whatever trades you decide to do in the future. Take care now. Bye bye.